hallway with court officers, where I was told he would not back down about either standing in the overflow room or getting into the main courtroom. That's when the handcuffs came out, and a producer in the hallway says the man was taken into custody and escorted out. In court in Manhattan, I'm Julie Walker.
Meanwhile, a judge held a hearing on prosecutors' request to hold Donald Trump in contempt of court and fine him for social media posts they say violated his gag order. Also at townhall.com, the United States unhappy with Russia's latest rejection of an appeal from an imprisoned journalist. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich will remain jailed on espionage charges until at least late June. This after a Moscow court rejected his appeal that sought to end his pre-trial detention. Reaction from White House National Security spokesman John Kirby.
It's just another example of the sham process that the Russians are running here. Evan's a reporter. He's not a spy. He's not a criminal. He needs to come home with his family right now.
Gershkovich was detained more than a year ago. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Stocks are ticking higher on Wall Street and adding to their hot start to the week. The Dow up 256 points. The NASDAQ adding 263. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Biden has started tracking Christians like cattle. Yes, you heard it right. He pressured banks to tag transactions for certain keywords. One of them is Holy Bible. That's a horrifying and creepy attack on our religious freedoms. It's made possible by a digital financial system that makes you a sitting duck. But you do have other options. I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnow, a news analyst, a best-selling author, and evangelical leader to people who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Biden's anti-Christian bureaucracy while also preserving your retirement savings. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text faith to 989898. There are no strings attached. So text faith to the number 989898 right now.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Looks like a good chance for showers and thunderstorms as we head through the afternoon and evening hours, and then all that rain should move on. We do not expect any severe weather today, but a good chance of rain this afternoon through this evening. Now, things will dry out very nicely tomorrow and Thursday with highs near 70. The clouds increase on Thursday, and another round of strong storms possible on Friday and possibly again on Sunday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Durham.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. Your better best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour. Your finest
Welcome to Colombo and Katie on a rainy, Tuesday afternoon here on, you're going to have to do this, my voice is going out, 101.9 News Talk STL. Hold on, talk to the people.
Frog in the throat. Hope everybody's having a great, I keep thinking, once again, I'm at a point, Tony, where I think today is Wednesday, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
I asked you that already. I asked everybody, what day is it?
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, my throat. Oh my goodness.
What is going on with you?
My head. I think the wire of my headphones is getting frayed.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought my mic wasn't on, but obviously it was.
Mm-hmm.
We're off and running, folks.
Here we
Welcome
are.
to Colombo and Katie. Got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be joined by our buddy Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. In just a few minutes, Crane is with us every Tuesday afternoon. I want to get his thoughts on some of these developing stories, crazy things happening around the world. We're going to dive right in. Let's start with protests. Protests. Mm-hmm. Does what would you call it? The motivation of protest, does it come in waves? Because I feel like we went through that period of time, not just here locally, but across the country, certainly here, especially after Mike Brown, where it felt like there were protests constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of fell out of favor, even with the protesters. It wasn't block the streets anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't march anymore. It was protest, use social media and do other things. But now, over the last month, it's everywhere again. Like there's
Comes
never
and
like,
goes.
there's never like one big protest in one city that is in isolation. It's like once it starts, it spreads like wildfire.
I feel like the people, now the cause is obviously very extreme, but what I saw yesterday looked like a scene from Coachella. The Columbia University campus had, it's crazy to me. They are trying to sell the American public like Hamas is this flowery peace and love, kumbaya, doing a dance. That's Hamas now. A terrorist organization is now Coachella, waving the flags and making the artwork and putting the jewelry and making the bracelets. That is what I saw at Columbia University. The tent city and the camp out that was happening with these protesters. Now, there is also a very dark side where people were yelling and chanting and screaming at each other. But some of the images that I saw of the people posted up and sleeping on the campus was like people like vendors setting up like make your Hamas bracelet and stuff.
Like peace and love, like
Totally.
the peace and love hippies.
That's exactly
Are
what that
speaking
movement looked like.
for
The
terrorists.
organization that beheaded babies.
Militant terrorists. Hamas wants more weapons.
Yeah.
They want
peace and
more
love.
force. They communicate through violence and killing.
It's
That you're so right, but it's part of the bizarro world that we've been talking about that I still just cannot believe is happening, that the peace and love hippies are the ones that are speaking out for trying to represent the militant killers that are terrorists.
And this is where people really need to keep their attention and keep their eyes on to what's going on at Columbia University right now, because whoever is out there protesting, again, we said this yesterday, the 19, 18, the 20-year-olds out there protesting and trading bracelets like they're at a Taylor Swift concert, they are trying to sell you an idea that is wrong. They are trying to sell you propaganda that they heard from the people that they follow that sold them propaganda about how Hamas is a suppressed people. And now they're going out on campus and telling the other 18-year-olds, don't forget, Hamas is a suppressed people. They're the people. They're the victims. But we as the smarter community, the common sense community, have to remember there are hostages still at play here.
Yeah.
There were babies beheaded. So when you see Coachella, Columbia University, know that that's propaganda. That's a lie that these 18-year-olds were sold.
Yes.
And now they're trying to feed it to other people.
Yeah. And as I said yesterday, I believe the vast majority of these people, I have a crazy story about NYU. What's happening at Columbia is obviously crazy, but add NYU to the list. They're giving Columbia a run for their money with how out of hand things are getting. But as I said yesterday, I believe strongly that the vast majority of these protesters have no real understanding of anything
No.
that is happening. No real understanding whatsoever. Their number one demand, their number one message is for peace. You know, a ceasefire, stop the killing, stop the bombing, stop the war, demanding a ceasefire. Where, as you just pointing out, Hamas doesn't want a ceasefire. I mean, they're saying they want a ceasefire from Israel, obviously, but Hamas doesn't want to just stop fighting. Hamas wants to kill every Jewish person on earth, period. They don't want to just sit back and coexist.
Yeah.
Peacefully coexist. That's not what they want to do. They want to stop getting bombed, yes, so they'll say we want a ceasefire, but just as they bragged after the attacks on October 7th, they bragged about how they lulled the world into thinking that they were a more peaceful, tolerant group, how they said, yeah, we pretended to be less violent so you would put your guard down, and you did, and when you did, we killed women,
The plan
children.
went into place.
Yeah, exactly. And they will do it again.
Also look at this, and this is a very old kind of phrase. I don't even know if it's like politically correct to say anymore.
Let's hear it.
But there is a lot of people that lack home training. And that to me is where
Could you explain home training, please?
When you don't get guidance at home, whenever you are a young person and there is no structure at your house. And why I think this is because if my mom and dad were paying $20,000 at the university that I went to a year, Columbia University, what the hell is their tuition? I don't even know. But if my parents were paying for my tuition and they caught me at a protest day and night instead of being in class, my A would be whooped at the age of 20 so badly. My parents would never put up with something like that. And it goes back to the house. It goes back, I think, when I look at these young people, God love them, they're young and trying to be part of something. But when you don't have parents that are telling you, get your A to class right now because you're using, or come home because you're using my money, you're doing this on my dime. What are you doing? If you don't have the parents to structure you back into place, this is where we're lacking as a community with home training. We got to get these kids back in shape.
I love it.
We do.
They need mom and dad.
They need an adult to be like,
Yes.
What are we doing here?
Yes. So let me explain to you what's happening at NYU today. NYU students there conducted a walkout and are ramping up their Israel protests. So last night, anti-Israel protests got violent on the campus of NYU. And today, a group called the NYU Palestine Solidarity Coalition called on students to walk out of class this afternoon at 1 p.m. to, quote, reflect, debrief, and strategize. Their words. Reflect, debrief, and strategize. The group made an Instagram post last night instructing students to, quote, set up a Gaza solidarity encampment on the NYU campus, and then listed their demands to the school and police that have to be met before they will end their protest. Are you about to demand some more home? What was it? Home what?
Home training.
Home training.
Remember the word that you just said, Tony? Militant.
Yeah.
Doesn't this sound like a militant order from the top all the way down?
Yeah, command, orders.
A command.
Yes.
A militant thing.
Yes.
Regroup.
Regroup, or reflect, debrief, and strategize. That was what they were supposed to do when they walked out of class today at 1 o'clock. So, in this Instagram post last night, again, they call it. once again, like I said at the beginning, how everything, like, it comes in waves and everybody does the same thing. Oh, they set up an encampment. Oh, and we're using the word encampment now. Like, there was like what was it called the last time around in Seattle?
Oh, Chaz.
Yeah. There were like names for it. And we kept using the same name for the zone that the people were in. And now we're using the word encampment over and over again, right? So now we have an encampment at Columbia and other places. Now we're going to have an encampment at NYU. So they call for the Gaza Solidarity Encampment, and then they list 4 demands that must be met by the United States, the school, and police in order for them to stop their protests at NYU. Number 1 demand. The U.S. must end all war profiteering and investment in genocide. Number 2 demand. The U.S. must enact a complete academic boycott of Israel.
Wow. They got some big old britches to be.
Once again, the side of equality
Cut them off.
is not looking for equality. The side for peace and love, they're not looking for that. They have winners and they have losers. They have one group of terrorists. There's 2 groups right now with guns and bombs and missiles. And one side is justified and one side should be completely shut down.
Equality.
That is not equality. Anyway. U.S. must enact a complete academic boycott of Israel. Demand number 3, NYU must remove all NYPD from campus. Like permanently, not just for the protests.
So defund.
No more cops on campus.
Defund the cops.
And NYU must protect free speech on campus. And demand number 4, although there was kind of 2 in demand number 3 there. Demand number 4, NYU must provide full amnesty to all students and faculty that have been penalized in any way for their pro-Palestinian activism. So if you
got fired,
if you got suspended as a teacher, or you got like an F because you didn't go to class because you were protesting.
Oh,
you can't get
no repercussions for people, right?
Full amnesty. So that's their 4 demands that have to be met for them to end this protest at NYU. This is literally happening as we speak. It was 1:00 New York time that the walkout happened, and that this afternoon, as we speak, they're moving in on setting up the encampment and
there they are,
holding up the demands and all of it. The school has not directly responded to these posts, but they have issued a couple of different statements saying that the protests have been, quote, in violation of directions from campus safety officers and in violation of multiple university rules. So at least NYU is saying it's all okay. But
what's going to happen
also not really
is that these demands aren't going to be met. And then
you don't think so? You don't think that the NYU, what was the group called? Hold on.
No.
What was the name of the group?
So sorry.
The NYU Palestine Solidarity Coalition. You don't think that
they're going to get their way?
The United States military is going to take orders from them?
None of that's going to happen. But something else that's going to happen, just like it did at Harvard, just like it did at MIT, people are going to start pulling their money from these universities.
Already are.
And it's going to be like a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
These Ivy League schools have just awoken the bear. Just like parents were opened their eyes to COVID, what was happening in our education system, they think this S is going to fly, and the American public is going to be ripping up that aid and that tuition and those checks so fast.
Totally agree. Not only are they going to lose support from donors and alumni who cannot endorse or stand to watch this happen at the schools that they went to. But this is just, colleges in general are making themselves less and less relevant and needed
And appealing
by the day. And this just adds a whole nother level on top of that. So you're going to lose the money from the donors, but you're also going to hurt money coming in from new students and from parents, like you said, that are looking, helping their kids find a college. Like, you're not going to go to NYU. Like, well, NYU was on the list, but not anymore.
now they have an encampment, and now kids can't go to school. They can't go to class. It's all virtual learning for the rest of the year in one of these colleges.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And a lot of these protests, like, if you are a student that just wants to go to class,
just wants to
like, could even maybe be on your side. Like, they could even be anti-Israel, but just wants to go to class, doesn't want to sit in the encampment and boycott. They're traitors if they go into the school. Like, if you just want to just, like, even if you're not getting their way, like, hey, y'all, do you. I don't even care if you're, blocking the parking lot here. I just need to go in there and go to class. They're traitors.
What a hostile
You have to be
environment.
you have to be all in with them,
Hostile.
or you are 100% the enemy. You know who's somebody who's not the enemy? Crane Durham.
True.
Our friend from nothingbutTruth.com. We are going to bring him into the conversation. I'm going to play some sound from Donald Trump when we get back, and I want to get Crane and everybody else's reaction to it. Donald Trump says that the anti-Israel protests around the country are a disgrace and are, quote, all Joe Biden's fault. So I will play for you what the former president had to say, and we'll see if we agree or disagree and talk about it next on Colombo and Katie.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
Follow us on Rumble at newstalkstl.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
This is the time of year when allergies are very bad, and, the air outside can be a big problem for many people that are suffering from allergies. And the last thing you want is to continue to have, suffer like that indoors. And that is why our friends at Zero Res have an incredible offer for you for the month of April. First of all, Zero Res is just the best across the board when it comes to cleaning any surface in your home. Carpets, tile, upholstery, air ducts. We've had them do it all. Christine, just over the weekend, told me about she's got the schedule for when she wants to call Zero Res next. I think it's in like a month. She's got it all laid out. We have relied on Zero Res many times over the years, thanks to just life with a family, pets, kids, your carpets, your furniture. Things happen, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are the best when it comes to bringing all that stuff back to life and keeping it clean and keeping your home healthy for your family. And right now, they have a great offer for you. If you book a cleaning in the month of April and just mention the Colombo special when you do, you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. So again, perfect time of the year, because with all of that allergens and things that are in the air right now outside, they get inside, they get in your carpets, and then they just recirculate throughout your home. and you don't get any of that relief when you are inside. And that is why it's such a great time to take advantage of this great offer. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you book a cleaning in April, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129, and you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020, or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards. It spells the same, ZeroRes.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Looks like the president might be speaking here in a minute. If that happens, we might go to it live for a second. Looks like he's at a rally, but he might be addressing some of these protests. So we may break away and go to the president for a moment if he does indeed speak. Somebody who was speaking earlier today and who joins us every Tuesday afternoon at this time, Crane Durham, posted a video today on the Nothing But Truth Facebook page. We have also posted it on our News Talk STL Facebook page, talking about the same thing that we started the show with, these protests broken out across the country at various college campuses. And Crane, when the world goes crazy, more than ever, brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug.
Brothers got a hug with purpose. It's great to be with you, Tony.
It is great to be with you, my friend.
Katie.
So
good.
So we just we just had our say, and we're gonna continue this conversation. I'm gonna play some sound from Donald Trump here in a moment, who has made a statement today calling these protests across the country a disgrace and laying blame squarely and pretty much solely at the feet of Joe Biden. But give us the Cliff Notes version of your thoughts on the situation at these various college campuses and a little preview of the video up on social media.
Well, they've basically lost control, and the control would be holding people to account for their actions. If they're illegally occupying something, then you remove them. If they are shouting in support of Hamas, you investigate them, and if they have a green card, you deport them. It's not hard, but this is a result of 20 plus, 30 plus years of indoctrination. And that means what I spoke to in the video was the alliance, the unholy alliance. Once characterized and articulated best, I think, by David Horwitz of FrontPageMag.com, but wrote a book about this. But he and others have pointed out that there is the leftists, the environmentalists, the Red-Green Alliance, so to speak, the commies, and the Islamofascists, or Islamists, if you will, Islamic supremacists. And they hate one thing. They come together on one thing. They hate Jews, and they hate Israel and America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and and I know I'm simplifying it, and of course not all of certain areas. Like you could have a leftist environmentalist who's not anti-Semitic, but they do wrap themselves in this, and it's kind of bizarre because you have like trans people for Hamas, basically, and
right. This is part of the reason this is like the confusion that I have been very publicly struggling with since this whole movement has broken out. How did the connection get made from the inclusion, progressive left, pro-trans group, everything is racist group?
Mm-hmm.
How did that movement seamlessly connect with terrorism? It just doesn't make any sense to me that those same people that are saying it's okay for a man to go change clothes in a women's locker room is also supporting terrorism in the Middle East. How does this happen, Crane? And where's the common ground? Where is the connection?
It is the oppressor-oppressed narrative, and they can put anything in there. It doesn't have to make sense. They just have to plug it in, and then they have to make the volume loud enough where they intimidate people, and you're not going to question the insanity, the asininity of what we are seeing. I mean, think about it. We're in a country where if you judge somebody by the content of their character and not the color of their skin, and you make that the policy, you're called racist. I mean, we're through the looking glass here. This is outrageous.
Do you think, Crane, that I heard this idea from Dan Bongino. We had a very hard time whenever we saw the Charlottesville protests, and there was a lot of Nazi symbols. There was a lot of white supremacy symbols. Trump came out and said there's probably good people on both sides. Now, we just heard Joe Biden come out and say on the anti-Israel protests, there's probably both people on good sides. Yeah. Is this an opportunity, Crane, for the Republicans to look at this and make it a marketing message saying, who are the real Nazis? What party is really the party that is closely related to anti-Semitic behavior and to Nazism? Is this an opportunity for the Republicans to take?
It's an opportunity, Katie, to tell the truth. And the truth is, if we look at Charlottesville, the president didn't draw bright lines, and he was talking about people who wanted the specifics of the monument not to be torn down. He says he wasn't speaking to the actual white supremacists. However, it was not bright. He didn't draw bright enough lines. Our current president is unable to do that, unable to draw bright lines because he really can't put together a whole thought and elucidate a point because he is cloudy himself. And I say that not to mock him or joke about it. I say that because it's the truth. Is it an opportunity to show, yes, Trump was the most pro-Israel president? Yes. Is it true that hate crimes against Jews have been number one, and we have failed to understand that and to publicize that through the mainstream media? Because if somebody happens to be a minority and attacking Jews, they don't want to publicize that story. Okay, so it's an opportunity to tell the truth about the problems, but watch out, because their whole movement is about confusion. It's to say, wait a second, if I point out that Jews are the number one victims of hate crime, and or Asians are up there too now, the people doing it may minorities, and then as soon as I say that, you say you think the minorities are attacking Jews. All minorities. It becomes about the oppressor, and it deflects. It goes someplace else. Let's put it where it belongs. These people are protesting for Hamas and against America and against, obviously, Israel's right to exist. And that's what they believe in. And the only way this message doesn't get forwarded and doesn't get stopped, or excuse me, it gets stopped, is for people to stand up and say no more. Bright line here. Mm-hmm. You're done. You believe this crap? I don't want you on my campus. And by the way, protesting is not putting your butt down in the middle of a highway. That's breaking the law. And I'll tell you something. If you're blocking my road, I'm going to pull you out.
And I'm glad, Katie, that you brought up that situation and Trump's statements during the Charlottesville protests. And because I think what is ironic and important for people to understand is that what Joe Biden has actually said about the current situation is what the media accused Donald Trump of doing with Charlottesville.
Right.
When Trump made those statements, it was followed up with a lot of condemnation of white supremacy and other, white supremacy and violent acts and all of that stuff. He drew a line and said, he condemned all those things. Joe Biden won't condemn. He really will just stop at what the media would like you to believe Donald Trump stopped at, and that's saying that there's good people on both sides.
It's just the parallel of what's going on and how this is being covered. I guess that's how I should have started the question. It is insane to watch something like this unfold, and the accusations against Donald Trump and the Republican Party for the last 5 years have been the Republican Party was full of Nazis, white supremacists, anti-Semitic behavior, all of this nonsense. Mm-hmm. And yet, what are we seeing in full Technicolor today from the Democrats and from Joe Biden?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Crane.
It's an outstanding point, and it's a good contrast to see. And it's not the idea of Me Tooism in the sense of, oh, you do it too. What aboutism? It's not. Mm-hmm. It's giving the Colombo flip test, quite frankly. It's saying, here's some actions, here's some words, here's some policies. But I'll tell you something. President Biden's gone beyond this. He has actually hamstrung our allies and embraced enemy to Hamas propaganda.
Yes.
And that has harmed our ally, Israel.
And he's not telling these idiots across the country that are protesting, he's not illustrating, the side that they're on, educating people about, that you are protesting for literal terrorists, right? Crane, real quick, don't mean to cut everybody off. I want to get to this sound from Donald Trump from earlier today. But as we mentioned, Joe Biden is speaking right now at a campaign stop in Florida, a previously scheduled campaign stop. But I wanted to dip into this for just a second to see if he is addressing any of this stuff. So let's go live to the president in Florida right now.
So the whole world's looking, and they're looking to see how we handle ourselves in this election, not just in whether we win or not, but how we handle ourselves. And one of the things that, for me, I got involved when I was a kid in electoral politics out of the civil rights movement. And it all got down to one person at a time. I mean it sincerely. The organizer, my state, to its great shame, was segregated by law. That's why I got involved as a kid when I got out of high school and into college. And it's about just doing the basic things, talking to people, literally talking to people. And for example, I'm really excited. We've raised almost $500 million so far. But here's what excites me. So far, we have 1.6 million contributors.
Okay. He's thanking the fundraisers.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Nothing there. They realize it too. He's speaking in front of a rousing crowd of about 14 people.
People, yeah. Half of them are his staff.
Yeah. Yeah. If he's continuing this conversation, if he says anything that's worth dipping into, we will do that. But I don't think we're going to get much from Joe today. He's
part of the civil rights movement.
He's holding
cards.
Yeah, like note cards, but they're like almost full size pieces of paper, and he keeps looking down at them and reading directly off the cards as he's speaking.
It's pretty ghoulish at this point.
Yeah.
When we think about people putting him out in front of the American people and not taking action because he is so fragile.
Yeah, he's in like a classroom, and it's full of old people. So I don't know. It's not like a college classroom or a high school classroom, but he's like in a classroom. So there's no teleprompter or anything like that. He's literally not even looking at the people. He's staring directly down at his hands and reading the cards that he's holding. I mean, it's pathetic. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get to this Donald Trump sound. And I want to get your reaction, Crane's reaction, and all of that and more next here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com.
Bago.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio. Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire. Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion.
Got another rainy day out there today, and it's that time of year. A lot of spring showers, and this could be a time that you notice an issue with your gutters. Maybe a issue develops. Maybe an issue that has been there for a while starts to get worse. The worst thing that you could do with any issue with your gutters at your home or business is not take care of it early, because it can do some serious damage long term to your home or your business. And that is why the Gutter Pros are there for you now. They are the best. The Gutter Pros are your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We've seen it firsthand at our house. They are the best. The only regret that I had with our situation with our gutters and Gutter Pros is that I didn't call them sooner, because once I finally made that call, it was just so much easier, faster, affordable than I had built it up to be. And should have called them sooner. So don't be like me. Don't let a potentially small problem turn into a bigger problem. Gutter Pros offers free estimates, so you can get all of that information, figure out what the problem is, and learn about your options to go about taking care of it without it costing you a dime. You make the best decision for you and your home and your budget at that point. And the Gutter Pros do it all. Leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, siding, everything up there that has to do or surrounding the gutters, the Gutter Pros have you covered. So again, if you have a gutter issue, or you just want to make sure you don't have a gutter issue at your home or your business, call the Gutter Pros now at 314-656-7195, or just go to gutterpros.com.
St. Louis is proud to be a baseball town and more recently a soccer town. On Friday, May 3rd, the Birds on the Bat host the Chicago White Sox. And that night, 25,000 fans 16 and older will take home a Cardinals soccer jersey presented by Purina. That's Friday, May 3rd, the Cardinals, the White Sox, and the exclusive soccer jersey giveaway. For tickets or more info, visit cardinals.com/promotion.
This is Giovanni Gallegos. Get your tickets at cardinals.com.
calling all bobblehead collectors and animal lovers. This is one you won't want to miss. Join us at the ballpark on Saturday, May 4th, when the Cardinals host the Chicago White Sox and the 19th annual Purina Pooches in the ballpark. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will receive a bobblehead of Adam Wainwright with his lovable retirement gift, his new pup Louie, courtesy of Purina. For full details, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Adam Wainwright, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Severs JCB has amazing deals on JCB mini excavators ranging from 2 tons to 10 tons. It's your choice to take 5 on one of these great offers. 0% financing for 5 years or up to $5,500 cash rebate and a 5-year warranty. See terms and conditions for details, but don't wait too long. These offers are for a limited time at Severs JCB. And check out their full line of industry-leading JCB equipment. Check them out online at seversjcb.com. This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 News Talk STL. Train Durham from NothingButTruth.com is with us, as he is every Tuesday afternoon. And we have been talking about the protests and the situations breaking out on college campuses all across the country. We heard a little bit from the president live a few moments ago, and also earlier today, the former president, Donald Trump, addressed what is happening across the country and called it a disgrace and laid blame for what is happening around this country pretty much squarely at the feet of Joe Biden. So I want to play this sound for you. It's a little bit, I think he's in a parking garage there at the courthouse before he went into the courtroom today. So there's a little bit of an echo here. So we're gonna play this for you, and then we'll react. And I have a little bit more from Donald Trump after he made this statement. He made some additional statements this afternoon that we'll get to you as well. So this is Donald Trump earlier today.
What's going on at the college level and the colleges, Columbia, NYU, and others is a disgrace. And it's really on Biden. He has the wrong signal. He's got the wrong tone. He's got the wrong words. He doesn't know who he's backing. And it's a mess. And if this were me, he'd be after me. He'd be after me so much, but they're trying to give him a pass. But what's going on is a disgrace to our country. And it's all Biden's fault, and everybody knows it. He's got no message. He's got no compassion. He doesn't know what he's doing. He can't put 2 sentences together, frankly. He is the worst president in the history of our country.
So, Crane, I don't know if you could hear all of that clearly. Trump calls this a disgrace. He says that Joe Biden is to blame. He called him the worst president in the history of our country. What do you think of what Donald Trump said today?
I think he's right on, in the sense of the current president, has the wrong tone and has the wrong message and really doesn't understand what we're dealing with. You have Jewish students unable to go to class in America at an Ivy League school because terrorist-supporting thugs are threatening their lives. That's where we are.
Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. There was a little bit of sound that still stuck through there, but
no problem. No problem. I just didn't want to interrupt. Okay, so that's where we are. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, Tony, this kind of focus in the sense of the line being crossed, this is the same kind of line that was crossed when they lied about BLM. And they said that cops were hunting black males. It's the same kind of thing. It's pronounced more, absolutely. We see it more, but this time it's against Jews. And the reason I say that is they're built on BS.
Yeah, Crane, I'm glad you said that. Go ahead, finish your point. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The people are not confronting them because they're afraid of the bullies. Well, you got to stand up to the bully with truth.
I couldn't agree more, and I have also noticed, and I think probably everybody has, the similarities that we see in these protests that we've seen in other places, that the message is so twisted. What the reality of things are and what the main message coming from the protesters don't add up. Like we're talking about, Katie, I thought your description earlier of the protesters at Columbia University are treating it like a music festival where they're setting up, little sidewalk shops where they're selling their hemp jewelry, their handmade
It's
hemp
Coachella
jewelry.
Columbia University.
Yeah. And, the flowers in their hair and the peace and love and, stop oppressing people around the world. The group that they are out there protecting or protesting for are militant terrorists holding machine guns and rocket launchers that want nothing more but to wipe every Jewish person off the planet Earth. Like, it doesn't jive with your hemp jewelry and the message that you are out there chanting. They just don't connect whatsoever. And Crane, I think that you're so right that we've seen that those mixed messages happen before. And I think every generation of these protests, every year that it goes on, that disconnect gets further and further. This one's worse than I think any of them that I've ever seen. How far off how far off of reality what is coming out of the protests is. It's just it's further than even the BLM protests, in my opinion, and that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, and think the kind of peace festival where a slaughter of innocents occurred was on October 7th. You mentioned the wares, the little shops, and all that. Well, peace, love, dope. I got to tell you something. Hamas went in and barbecued babies. Yeah. And I know that sounds horrible, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And the disconnect from the evil, Tony, that you speak of, and quite frankly, you've been on the front lines of this in Ferguson years back. You were reporting on the front lines. You saw the chaos as it grew. And this is what's happening now. And it's not going to go away if we don't confront it.
And I saw, Craig, you're so right. And I saw, and many of us saw, everybody who was around saw the difference. I've told this story many times over the years, how shocked I was and what a realization it was for me, even at the time. I mean, being in the media for as long as I had at that point, I knew how the media worked, and it was still shocking to me that I would spend a day and night in Ferguson on the ground, or even with the Jason Stockley protests and other protests that I've covered. And when I went home, when I got back to my house after that day and being there live, when I would hear what the media was reporting, media that I was standing next to, minutes before, the way that they were reporting and the message that they were sending out is like, it was completely opposite, or it was just a totally different. It was totally inaccurate as to what the actual atmosphere and what was happening on the ground. It's just you got to keep that in mind when you're watching the media cover these protests. Katie, I know you had something. Please go ahead.
Crane, what happens to the congressmen and women who are celebrating and praising these protesters? We have AOC saying it is especially important that we remember the power of young people shaping this country today as we once again witness the leadership of those peacefully protesting as students. That is what she is saying about the pro-Hamas, anti-Israel protests happening on these college campuses.
History will not be a friend to them, much like the isolationist movement. It will not be a friend to them, but you're looking for the press to do its job. And remember, the press, the closer we get to election, is worse and worse at their job. And it's going to take not only the press, elements of the conservative press, it's going to take fellow members of Congress and even inter-party fighting in this sense of standing up, saying, this is sick, I want no part of you, goodbye.
Crane, I wanted to there's a couple other things said by Donald Trump today. We heard that in that sound that we just played, he is laying the blame for this, pretty much solely at the feet of Joe Biden. Of course, that's political strategy also. It's not, Joe Biden is at the top of the list, but there's many people that are making really bad decisions and can shoulder a lot of blame for all of these things that are happening. But of course, Donald Trump is focused on this election. He mentioned in the sound that we played, Biden's got the wrong words. He doesn't know who he's backing. It's a mess. He went on to say later that Biden was, quote, no friend of Israel. He's abandoned them. And he said that Joe Biden is, quote, an incompetent man and peace will never happen with a guy like this in the White House. How big of a deal can this really turn into for Donald Trump and the impact that it could have on the election? Because I think, that statement is true. I don't see a peaceful resolution to any of this with the current regime in place.
Try for a state. They're going to try to give them a Palestinian state. Hey, slaughter 1,200 Jews, and you get a Palestinian state. And what is that Palestinian state going to be? New boss, the same as the old boss. 70% of people in Gaza support Hamas, Palestinians. So people have to draw lines. And what's true about it is Israel. President Trump has been the most pro-Israel president in history. Moved the embassy to Jerusalem. I mean, President Trump, as transactional as he is, he follows through. He follows through. And Biden can't support the two sides because one's going to win. And I think if President Trump gets to be president, Israel will be finally allowed to win the war they've been fighting since their beginning. And that is good for everybody, and including their alliances.
Crane, unfortunately, we're out of time. I want to remind people that not only can you hear Crane Durham join us every Tuesday afternoon here on Colombo and Katie, but you can follow Crane at nothingbutTruth.com and the Nothing But Truth Facebook page, and check out the video that Crane posted earlier today. There on Nothing But Truth Facebook page and our Facebook page. We took your video and we put it on ours as well. News Talk STL.
I love you
Facebook
both very much, and listen to this program. It's the smartest show on radio.
Thank you, buddy. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Crane.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to switch gears from controversy internationally to controversy here at home. And sticking with Donald Trump for a moment, the former president has defended Speaker Mike Johnson as Marjorie Taylor Greene doubles down on her push to remove the speaker. We'll talk about that next. Hey, it's Colombo for Capriotti's Sandwich Shop. Capriotti's is famous for setting themselves apart due to their dedication to superior quality and ingredients like slow-roasted, hand-pulled whole turkey and American Wagyu straight from Snake River Farms. That dedication to superior quality is evident from the very first bite into a Capriotti sandwich. Visit Capriotti's Sandwich Shop 7 days a week at the corner of Manchester and McKnight in Rock Hill, and get more info, including how to impress at your next event with their great catering at capriottis.com.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL Fenceworks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit STLFenceworks.com today.
Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk.
Soros' maneuver raises critical questions about the future of media ownership and influence.
Money and attention is power. And when he has the money and he controls what's on the radio stations, he's going to be able to control the minds, potentially hundreds of millions of Americans.
St. Louis's trusted source and number one
for conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
We need accurate information on this election.
101.9 and 94.1.
I follow the news pretty much throughout the day.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Biden is being criticized for his response to pro-Palestinian protest on university campuses. White House correspondent Greg Clugston with that report.
The president this week said that he condemns anti-Semitic protests, but he went on to say, I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. Conservatives were quick to suggest that Mr. Biden's answer was similar to Donald Trump's 2017 comment that there were very fine people on both sides of the violent protests in Charlottesville. The president has repeatedly said his disgust over Trump's response was a key reason for launching his 2020 presidential campaign. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Also at townhall.com, a Wall Street Journal reporter will remain in a Russian jail on espionage charges at least until June.
Evan Gershkovich, a 32-year-old reporter who was detained on espionage charges in March 2023, had his appeal rejected to seek an end to his pretrial detention. Last month, his arrest was extended until June 30th, and an appeal heard by a Moscow appellate court this week was rejected. Russian authorities have not revealed what evidence they have to support espionage charges against Gershkovich. He and the Wall Street Journal have denied the allegations, and the U.S. government has declared him to be wrongfully detained. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Officials in Baltimore plan to open a deeper channel for commercial ships to access the city's ports starting on Thursday. That marks a significant step toward reopening the major maritime shipping hub that has remained closed to most traffic since the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed last month after being hit by a cargo vessel. The Dow up 269 points today. The NASDAQ added 245. More at townhall.com.
It has been confirmed. Those brave Americans who are trying to preserve free speech continue to be censored, shadow banned, or silenced. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to share the liberating ideas of some of America's brightest and most free thinkers. People like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry, whose ideas are putting financial control back in the hands of everyday people, helping them protect their money against a government that seems intent on destroying it. Text TRUTH to 76626 to find out more. As this election moves forward, we just released a report that reveals our 3 favorite ideas for protecting and growing your wealth during the 2024 election. These ideas are especially critical if you have an IRA or 401k. Text TRUTH to 76626. Discover ideas that are so simple and actionable they might save your retirement. Text TRUTH to 76626 now for your free report. That's TRUTH to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Looks like a good chance for showers and thunderstorms as we head through the afternoon and evening hours, and then all that rain should move on. We do not expect any severe weather today, but a good chance of rain this afternoon through this evening. Now, things will dry out very nicely tomorrow and Thursday with highs near 70. The clouds increase on Thursday, and another round of strong storms possible on Friday and possibly again on Sunday. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Fox News commentary.
Ivy League university administrators stand down as pro-Hamas and pro-terrorist mobs intimidate Jewish students. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Something amazing is happening in education. Students are inspired and engaged. That's because school districts consulted with CDW, who designed modern classroom solutions with pre-configured HP devices, making learning more accessible, secure, and immersive. Now when students study topics like elephants, it feels like elephants are there with them. HP and CDW. Make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/HPPSG.
Ivy League universities are supposed to foster and educate the nation's best and brightest minds, but that tradition is in the toilet. Rather, these elite universities, such as but not limited to Yale and Columbia, have instead become festering hotbeds for anti-Semitism and anti-American campus thugs. You know, I'm all for free speech, but what these anti-Israel and pro-terror campus mobs are doing and advocating for is well outside of protected speech. Yet campus administrators do nothing. When rabbis resort to advising Jewish students to stay home or indoors for fear they will be targeted and attacked, well, that's when you know things have gotten beyond the scope of the First Amendment. Let me also say this. If your brat kid is out there protesting for Islamic terrorism, you failed as a parent. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
This is what's happening.
I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while.
President Biden is not interested in bringing people together, and he's also not interested in creating real solutions.
He came to give a campaign speech, and it was that.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Into the unknown, into the unknown, into the unknown.
Man, you turned the microphone on in a very unfortunate place there.
Right on time.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Not the drum.
Boy,
beating. Not the drum.
I'll tell you
beating.
what, you nailed it at the beginning of the show. I hadn't paid attention to the details of the pictures and the videos coming in about the atmosphere. It is. It's like a music festival atmosphere.
They have talismans hanging up like you would at a they have vendors set up. They have people doing art. They have people doing artwork with chalk artwork. Get a grip on reality, folks.
There's people with drum kits. Just like standing percussion, like playing, just like
having
music.
bongos out there.
Yeah, it is. It looks like a music festival. We're talking about the protests happening across the country. I think that was that Columbia or NYU we're just looking at? I can't even.
I think that was
they're
NYU.
They're all the freaking same.
That was
right
NYU.
Now. Yeah. Really got into the protest issue in the 2:00 hour. If you missed any of that with our buddy Crane Durham from nothingbuttruth.com. Make sure you are subscribed to our podcast so you never miss anything that happens here on the show. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day, and it's the best way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on Colombo and Katie. We put it on every podcast platform, so whatever your favorite podcast platform is, just make sure you're subscribed to Colombo and Katie. All right, switching away from the protests and back to the division happening within the Republican Party. Donald Trump spoke about the protests and laid the blame about what's happening across the country squarely at the feet of Joe Biden. Of course, he's in full-blown election mode, campaign mode right now, and I think the former president is realizing how this is not the time for division within the party. And he actually came out today to defend Speaker Mike Johnson, even as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of his biggest supporters in Congress, continues to push for the speaker's removal. So Donald Trump came to the aid of House Speaker Mike Johnson last night during an interview. He was asked about the situation, about the removal, the possible removal of Speaker Johnson, and he said, quote, "Well, look, we have a majority of one, okay? It's not like he can go and do whatever he wants. I think he's a very good person. You know, he stood very strongly with me on NATO when I said NATO has to pay up. It's a tough situation. I think he's a very good man. I think he's trying very hard. Again, we've got a big election. We've got to elect some people in Congress, much more than we have right now. We have to elect good senators, get rid of some of the ones that we have now, like Romney and others. And we have to have a big day, and we have to win the presidency. If we don't win the presidency, I'm telling you, I think our country could be finished. We are absolutely a country in decline. So he comes to the aid of Speaker Johnson, but obviously the main point is the election and winning the election and increasing the majority for the Republicans in the House and getting the majority in the Senate. And I think that Donald Trump, and I think many others also, are afraid that with all of this, these terrible optics, this terrible situation, the condition of the country that has been brought on by Joe Biden and the Democrats, could all get distracted from, or they could get away with it if the Republicans continue to have infighting and can't get on the same page to have a solid message to just take down the Democrats. They're too busy fighting with themselves.
To me, I think this is a very smart move by Donald Trump. I think that united front. Now, if you listen to Rob Carter's show, he has a very, very big disagreement with Mike Johnson. I think someone like Rob Carter is more of a proponent saying maybe we should start questioning Mike Johnson, his speakership, all of that. But to me, I think we do need to have a united front, because let the infighting happen whenever, I hate to say it like this, but whenever we have
there's
a little
good
bit
time for it.
when there's a good time, when we have a little bit more control, whenever there are things that the things that matter right now, the things that you're watching on the TV could go away with a snap of a finger if we have a different president. And I think we need to focus on those bad things, keep our energy towards those things, and how do we fix them? How do we make them better? Instead of having these conversations about Mike Johnson that right now are probably important, but seem to me a little bit irrelevant when we have pro-Hamas protesters saying, I am Hamas.
What if this was the approach? Would you be for or against something like this? Because I would never tell an elected official, somebody who made promises to voters or has strong beliefs about something, to just shut up and fall in line. I think that
right.
Shutting up and falling in line has created a lot of problems over the years. And, obviously a lot of actions are taken for personal reasons or monetary reasons, but when somebody has a genuine concern or issue with leadership or anything else, I would never, I would never tell them to just, hey, it's not a good time. However, I would say that maybe one step at a time. How about we focus on taking back the Senate? If I'm speaking as the Republican leadership or, the people that are behind this movement, let's focus on taking back the Senate, taking back the White House, and expanding our majority in the House. And then once we have that and we have more control over everything, and hopefully bring in more and new voices to the party, then we will address them. Once we have the power, then we'll address our own issues.
Yeah.
And so it's one step at a time. Win the election, win back majority, and then clean up our house so we're ready to go, as a united front for the next 2 or 4 years after the election.
I agree with that.
Instead of doing it
now,
so publicly now.
I agree with that approach, and I think that you're right in saying I don't want anyone to fall in line. I would never ask Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would never ask Donald Trump if he feels some type of way about Mike Johnson. But I do think that there is an appropriate place and time. I do think that those things need to take place when our house is in order and when chaos, because even if you have the right reasons, like Marjorie Taylor Greene believes she has, even if you have the right feeling in your gut and you're doing it for your constituents in the right way, it all doesn't matter if you lose the election.
Right.
None of it matters if we go to hell in a handbasket, because optically we looked like we didn't have our S together, and the American public felt that way. And they said, ooh, I don't like what the Republicans are doing to each other. It feels like they could win the game, but instead they're tripping each other on the field.
Yeah.
Their own teammates.
Yeah.
So why would I do that? It's the optics and the feeling of the American public, I don't think would be in line with being like, let's also try to boot the speaker while we're at
and
it.
if you're mad if you don't like the direction that Mike Johnson is taking the country, but because of that issue, you hand it to Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah. We're in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
If with Joe Biden in the White House and Chuck Schumer running the Senate, if Hakeem Jeffries were to become Speaker of the House, you think things are bad now. I mean, holy moly.
Can you believe Donald Trump is going to be the person that might be bringing Mike Johnson and Marjorie Taylor Greene to the same plate to say, let's get along?
Yeah, so this is going to be super interesting to see what happens over the course of the next few days, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is Captain Trump, right? Like,
for sure.
She is president of the fan club.
She is the captain of the Trump train.
She called on Johnson to resign after the House passed a $95 billion foreign aid package that includes $61 billion for Ukraine, and she has threatened to move on, to oustering the speaker, and she doubled down on that statement just 2 days ago over the weekend. On Sunday, she said during an interview, quote, "Mike Johnson's leadership is over. He needs to do the right thing to resign and allow us to move forward in a controlled process. If he doesn't do so, he will be vacated." Republicans, including Thomas Massey and Paul Gosar, have voiced support for Greene's motion to vacate Johnson. So she said that on Sunday. Double down. She said the words, his leadership is over. He will be vacated. She says that on Sunday. Donald Trump on Monday, yesterday, comes to the defense of Speaker Johnson. So now either Marjorie Taylor Greene stays on track and for the first time is in direct opposition of Donald Trump, or she changes her mind because of her support for Donald Trump. And now she's a total hypocrite because she just said on Sunday, his leadership is over. He will be vacated. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens over the next few days, specifically with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Thomas Massey's, he's kind of got different. Yeah. He's on the side of getting rid of Mike Johnson, but for some of the same and some different reasons than Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, they're not necessarily in lockstep, although they are on the same side of the issue. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting because she's either going to have to speak out against Donald Trump. And I don't think I've ever seen her. Have you ever seen her ever say anything?
No.
It was.
I don't think I've ever seen her without her MAGA hat on.
Right? So it's either that or she's going to have to do a 180. And that's never a good look. The old flip-flop is never a good look.
Who would have thought that Mike Johnson would cause it? I'm thinking that the majority of this pain against Mike Johnson is because of the aid that he said he was trying to get for Ukraine. But it still is interesting to see how much backlash someone like Mike Johnson is receiving from so many Republicans. And again, I say, he's still in the infancy of his speakership.
Right.
It's still new, and we all have a pass, I think, in life. I'm not saying that Mike Johnson's my favorite speaker ever.
Right.
But I think we should probably give him a little time.
Some of it is his own fault. My biggest issue with Speaker Johnson is the border situation.
Yeah.
Going in at the end of last year, going into the holidays, he issued the big ultimatum and said, the House will not pass any of your funding for any of these wars unless you present real policy change at the border. And it was an ultimatum.
Black and white.
Well, he's passed all of these funding bills for these wars, and Joe Biden has done nothing. Didn't even submit like a BS plan that at least Mike Johnson could say, well, they did send me something and we are working on it. Like, just ignored the ultimatum and just rolled right over the top of Mike Johnson. Yeah. I mean, optically and from the opinion of some. It depends, everybody can make their own political case to make excuses or defend in almost any position. But that's what happened.
Maybe that's one of the great issues too, is like, don't try to be the tough guy if you're not going to be the tough guy.
Don't
try to
issue an ultimatum.
Ultimatums on the chest.
Yeah. And ultimatums they rarely work out.
Yeah.
For politicians, because you almost never get everything that you want. And when you don't, you look like a hypocrite or a pushover. If you negotiate or you don't get everything after saying it's all or nothing. And
not a good look.
It never works out.
The fake tough guy, not a good look.
Yeah, never works out. All right, switching issues again in just a moment. Remember Jillian Michaels, the celebrity trainer?
Yeah, I do.
Back in the news. We haven't talked about the latest women's sports trans controversy. This the high school with the shot putter the championship track meet. A bunch of girls refused to compete because one of the schools had a boy on the girls' track team, and it's created put the issue back at the top of the headlines. And Jillian Michaels was doing an interview earlier today specifically about that situation, and addressed it and brought all of this back into the headlines, and I think it's important. So we are going to talk about that next on Colombo and Katie.
I fear everyone I've ever loved is here within these walls. I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm blocking out your calls. I've had my adventure, I don't need something new. I'm afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Into the unknown.
Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL. This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
If you are thinking about selling your home, there is one team better than the rest to help make that happen for you, and that is the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. They have the stats to back up my claim that they are the best. They are selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller and have so many qualified buyers right now that they guaranteed to get you an offer. But I've seen it with my own eyes. We've been through the process ourselves with Rodney and Jen Wallner, and I can tell you that the intangibles are really, to us, what set the Wallners apart from the rest. They have the experience. They have the work ethic to be the best. They are great people that are very good at communicating and helping you every step of the way. And they over-delivered for us and for so many of the people that they have worked with over the years, selling our house way faster and for more than we could have ever imagined. And then for us, it wasn't just selling a home, but it was also finding a home on the other side, and the Wallners were instrumental in helping us find our new home that we are thankful to the Wallners for every day when we wake up in our new house. And if you are in the sound of my voice anywhere in the St. Louis metro area, the Wallners can help you because they are licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. And although there have been some changes in the housing market and interest rates and things like that, the bottom line is this is still very much a seller's market. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait any longer. Don't let that window of opportunity pass you by. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team now at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
In England, a doctor is facing verbal and possibly physical threat. Why? Well, this was the president of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health. She was commissioned by the UK for an independent review on gender-affirming care. She handed over her 388-page report, and the findings indicated, quote, no good evidence for the medical push to transition, saying it's all built on shaky foundations. Well, immediately there was backlash. She expected that. She adds, what dismays me is just how childish this debate can become. If we don't agree with somebody, then I'm being called transphobic. And yes, she is afraid now to use public transit. Her picture's been out there, her name. She is worried that she might be targeted at any point. There is a plus side to what she did. England's National Health Service says it will now pause first appointments for teenagers under 18 and will review its adult gender services and the use of hormones. So at least for now, they're going to pause and reconsider.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
Folks tell me they just aren't happy with their health care these days. You too? Hi, Dr. Randy Tobler here for Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Trust and relationships. They're essential to great care, and those values define our practice. No bright, shiny objects or the latest fads here. Just caring for you with 30 years of experience and making it about you, not the bill. Interested? Schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com, shepherding you to medical freedom.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Donald Trump back in court, and the state-controlled media and their lapdogs just can't wait for a guilty verdict.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 News Talk STL. Man, we've been in it today.
Oh, yeah.
This is just this week. It's only Tuesday. And it already feels like there is just so much happening. Again, a perfect reminder to make sure you're subscribed to our podcast so you never miss any of the great conversations that we have here on the show. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day on every podcast platform. So wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you're subscribed to Colombo and Katie. Also, don't forget about our various social media platforms, News Talk STL on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, while supplies last, and on Rumble, which I think is it's really great to see. Rumble, I think, has been, you would know better than I would, Katie, but there's been a lot of social media platforms that have tried to present a option to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Rumble has made the most inroads.
Oh my
and
gosh,
shown
yeah.
the most growth.
Huge growth.
And I think that that's wonderful.
And it's amazing. And luckily enough, smart people invested into Rumble to make it a good investment.
Yeah.
And it has done so much for the community that has really been silenced for a really long time on these major platforms.
So I mentioned Jillian Michaels just a moment ago when I was talking about the story that we're about to talk about. And just now at the break, I was asking Katie, I was trying to remember, because Jillian Michaels used to be red hot.
Mm-hmm.
She was on television. She was everywhere. And I remembered she went through some kind of, boycott, cancel, politically incorrect deal. But I couldn't remember what it was. Like, what was it that, did it to her? And it was basically like she was famous for being a celebrity trainer.
Yeah.
And for, The Biggest Loser,
Right.
the television show. And so her whole life was about diet and fitness. And she basically said it's okay to call fat people fat.
Yeah.
Because if you don't confront your problems, if you say it's okay to be unhealthy and, you're not
Promoting
you're not
an
helping
unhealthy
them.
lifestyle.
You're leading to their early demise if you don't help them. And that's basically what got her canceled. And then you think right now in this world, there are people protesting on the side of literal terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being celebrated. And whatever it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you could get canceled just for saying it's okay if somebody's fat, to say, hey, you're fat and you should do something about it.
From a trainer. From a
trainer whose job it is to make you healthier and make you be in better shape.
Whole life.
And if you don't want to hear that, then you don't have to go to the trainer.
Yeah. You don't have to go on the
But
Biggest
if you're
Loser.
if you're gonna listen to what a trainer has to say, then they're pretty much their obligation.
It's going to be like going to the physician
Right.
and them saying, got to lose a little
Can you
weight.
imagine being canceled for that and then looking at the television and going,
no,
these people are endorsing the killing of women and babies.
The crazy train.
And they're not canceled. Anyway, I just thought that was, every now and then I think it's important to kind of look back, just to remind ourselves just how far we've gone off the crazy meter. Anyway, Jillian Michaels says that evidence is irrefutable that trans athletes should not be competing against girls. This is the latest person to speak out on the side of common sense. Celebrity fitness trainer Jillian Michaels spoke out today in favor of fairness in women's sports after several middle school students, I said high school earlier, I apologize for that, middle school students in West Virginia staged a protest against one of their competitors, a biological male. During an interview this morning, Michaels argued that data supporting men's strength as superior to women is irrefutable, even when accounting for cross-sex hormone therapy. She said, quote, "You've got two competing goals in sports. One is inclusion, which everybody can understand and get on board with. However, the second goal that's in direct opposition with inclusion in this instance, is going to be a fair competition. And if that's your priority, if your overriding priority is going to be fairness over inclusion, you've got to turn to the data. And the data irrefutably shows that biological males are 10 to 30% stronger, faster, have better endurance, better aerobic capacity across the board than females. This comes after, again, at least 5 middle school girls refused to compete at a championship track meet last week after a transgender female, a boy, won the shot put competition by 3 feet. That is
nuts.
That is in shot put, that is a mile.
A stark difference.
That is a mile. That means none of the girls, the real girls, came anywhere close. This was 13-year-olds. My daughter is 13. This 13-year-old won the competition despite 5 of the competitors refusing to throw the shot put, refused to compete in protest of this boy's participation. Good for them, by the way.
I think it's incredible for them.
But you know what, though? They had to, those girls work their butts off. And I'm sure they are strong. Like, it's hard to get in that great a shape. That's a lot of dedication only to get to the championship meet and be put in. A 13-year-old girl who's sacrificed and worked to be competing in the championship meet, then to only have 2 options. One, compete against somebody who is superior, stronger than you, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no amount of work or sacrifice that you could do. It's just completely unfair. So compete in an unfair championship meet or refuse to. And then, all of that hard work that you worked for all season, it is the parents and the schools and the officials that put that on these 13-year-old athletes, those were their only 2 options, should just be absolutely ashamed of themselves.
It just goes back to the conversation over and over and over again. Adults need to be adults. The parents need to step up and be parents. Like, we're taking away opportunities from young women now, from 13-year-old girls, because, as you just said, and I think it's such a perfect, we're taking childhood away from these 13-year-old girls because we're not allowing them to just do what they love and be comfortable and be able to be playing with other girls their same age to compete in that way. We're taking away their passion, their drive, and their motivation to keep going.
Yep.
At 13 years old, these things are being stripped. That's not drama. That's not hyperbole. That is a 13-year-old girl walking away from something that she loves, saying, I will not participate in this, because adults couldn't make the decision enough to say, let's not intertwine. Let's not intermingle. That's on the adults for allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
And now the 13-year-old girl has to pay that price.
Yep.
So sad.
You know what? We will be one of the places that will not stop talking about this issue. Will not stop fighting for it.
No.
It's very personal to me, being the father of 2 daughters, one who is a very accomplished athlete, who's got a long, if she wants to stick with it, at least has a long, a very promising athletic career in front of her. And I think you also have personal reasons to endorse women's rights.
Yeah, just a little bit, tiny bit.
I want to do a quick positive story here that came out of New York that didn't even, it barely cracked the headlines because of all the negative stuff. Remember me telling you about Paul Johnson, the Navy officer that ran across the United States?
I do.
He ran through St. Louis a couple weeks ago, and we went and saw him, And my son and my wife were featured on his Instagram channel because
cool.
James gave him some candy and had made a sign for him, and there were people running with him as he went through. He finished over the weekend on Sunday. He finished his run he ran from L.A. to New York.
Whoa.
He raised over $500,000. I don't even know where it ended up. It could be even more. But as of Sunday, when he was finishing up, it was at $500,000 raised for veterans charities. He is a active member of the Navy, and it took him 51 or 52 days. He was running some days like 65 miles a day for days in a row to go from L.A. to New York, and he wrapped up his race, and it was cool to get to see him in person and just be a small part of that. And
so cool.
Yeah, he was on the Today Show. He got some national press
media,
but the good news never makes it.
God, I can't believe you already finished.
Yeah.
That is so crazy
What's
to think
nuts
about that.
is that he did it in, like I said, 50-something days. And when he first was making this plan, he was going to try to set the world record. The world record is like 40 days. He didn't even come close. He ran across the United States and only took him 50 days. And it still didn't even come close to the record.
What's the number? What's the number he ran a day? You said
some days between like 65 miles a day.
That's chilling.
He had good days and bad days.
That's chilling to me to think about somebody running. Mm-hmm. Of course, not nonstop, but just running for 65 miles a day. I am like,
what? Days and days and days.
How
in a row.
does your heart keep going?
I don't know. I can't run down the hall.
Me either.
Without getting lightheaded.
Gasping for air.
One last quick report. I will try to take a picture of them tonight. I planted some grass over the weekend, so I've been out watering the grass a little bit. I am pretty sure that I saw cicada holes.
Barf.
At the base of our tree.
You've got to take a picture.
It was last night. It was dark, so I couldn't get... I'll try to get a daylight picture and see if the cicadas are indeed...
You saw the cicada holes.
Maybe days away. Yeah, pencil-sized holes at the base of trees. That's what you're supposed to look for. That's one of the big signs that they're about ready to make their appearance.
Here they come.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps about to make their appearance. Colombo and Katie, we will be back tomorrow at 2. Keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next. Then the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show at 4 o'clock here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restore Neuropathy treatment program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success